Today we're making jewellery for journals. That's the little things that dangle and the things to attach them to. And I'm specifically going to answer 5 key questions. That's the questions that are most pertinent to you as a beginner. I've definitely wasted a little bit of time and money getting to the point of making these, and I thought by sharing my learnings and my own journey, I would help you to save your time and money too. The resource sheet with tips is here to get you started. You can find this in Pinterest for free, along with over 60 others. The first thing I did was have a look at the supplies that I currently have. And so I pulled out this little pot of jewellery that's been sitting on my shelves behind me. It's mostly necklaces, many of them are broken, and I thought I would be able to do something with the individual beads. I had some paper clips, some rose gold ones, and I've recently acquired some colourful ones as well. I had quite a few sequins in different colours. So these are sequins with a hole in them. So I've got them in pink, I've got them in gold, I've got them in blue, I've got them in white, and I thought they would be really good to play with if I could make use of the hole in the middle. And I've also got lots of other bits of, I'm not really sure what it's called, some sort of confetti. The items in these bags have got holes in them too. So I pulled those out, maybe not your standard bit of jewellery making supplies, but the point I'm making is pull out what you've got and see what you can do to start with. I also pulled out my supply of buttons that I keep in this very heavy tin, and I had a play with those, and I pulled out some of my little beads that I bought probably a couple of years ago. These have got small holes in them, a few different colours there, and I also pulled out my little collections of beads that I've never really made much use of. Again, these came from the pound shop some time ago and I thought they looked fantastic. Small holes in them, which is perfect. I pulled out my bag of ribbons, so, well, let's be honest, I pulled out what was in the drawer and put them in a bag of all my ribbons because they're a complete mess and they need sorting through, and I thought those would be useful for playing with, for making jewellery for journals. So I threaded a piece of ribbon through one of the rose gold paper clips and I attached a button using Fabri-Tac, which makes it stay really firmly on, and then I wondered what to do with it, so I added it to a journal card, which is fine, and it's, you know, it's a step forward for me, which is what it's all about, learning and having a play, but it didn't feel particularly dynamic. I think I also made a nice gold one, more like a banner really. I gave that a V shape at the bottom. I didn't add a button, but I attached it to another journal card, and I'm going to make a whole collection of pieces of ephemera to attach dangly things to a bit later. It's really easy. I'll show you how to do it. So you've got a way of actually integrating your jewellery into your junk journal. So at this stage, I knew I had some supplies. I knew that I wanted to go further and play and make something more interesting. So I ordered just 100 bulb pins from Amazon. So bulb pins, as the name says, look like a bulb. I chose some in just standard gold, and when they arrived from Amazon, which they did a day later with Amazon Prime, I had to play with those, with the materials I've just talked through, and I made something that felt to me much more interesting. So I made these dangly little items. I've got little beads and some of those bits of, I'm not sure what to call them, bits of confetti on them. I found that putting a cluster and a mixture, somewhat randomly actually, is quite a fun way to use them and to make your jewellery. And I tended to stick to just 1 or 2 colours, sometimes just one colour. I didn't go completely mad and put 5 different colours on one single item. I also made them in green, and I think these work incredibly well on the items of ephemera. So I've put this one on the bottom right with an eyelet of this journal card. So it's easy to attach to your journal. And I've got one on a snippet here, just some fun. These are quite dangly. Depending on the items you've got, you can get quite creative. Another one on the bottom right here of something that could stick on the right hand side of a page. So an enormous bit of confetti, that plastic confetti. I've got more over here in oranges and greens. That's another piece of snippet. I think that works really well. That reminds me of an earring. Did you ever have dangly earrings like that? And another one here, and another one here. And I think you can tell that I started to get into some form of momentum, and I knew I wanted more. I decided I would go to the shops and gather some more supplies and really get going on my journey with making jewellery for journals. So feeling really excited, I thought I would visit the shops, the local shops, but what I found was really, really poor. The first shop I went to is called Poundland, and that's, well, it used to have items for just £1. It doesn't anymore. It's got a range of prices. I started with dressmaking, thinking that might be a place to find jewellery, beads and similar items. I found some alphabet beads, and in fact I think I found these sorts of things online when I did a subsequent check about what's available in Dollar Tree, but let me know your thoughts on that point. What is available in Dollar Tree in the US? I'd be interested to know. The alphabet beads were, well, just not me. And at least by playing with the supplies I already have, I'd started to get a feel for what I like and what I don't like. And I guess I don't really go for the very plasticky items. So I went to the children's area, again quite hopeful, surely there would be something there that I could use. And I found a very colourful kit, but when you look at this, you can see that the holes in the beads are actually really large. And I'd learnt from playing with just my set of 100 gold bulb pins that what I wanted was things with a very small hole. I finally went to a third shop, bit hopeful, maybe not too hopeful. I asked if they had anything, and the lady pointed me in the direction of this kit, which again was in the children's area. And it's really not what I want. I don't want to just buy a collection of charms and dangle them on something. I want to feel like I've produced something, mixed something, chosen the colours, and actually upcycled something ideally. So I was feeling pretty down in the dumps at this point because I had felt full of gusto and go and creativity. And I know that you know what I mean when you're on that up and you've really got some new ideas. So it was a bit disappointing not to find very much. So in the car on the way home, I started scrolling through eBay. All I'll say is, oh my word, it's like going down a rabbit hole. All I can say is make sure you put some time aside and don't get completely stuck looking at all the choices you have. So I searched using the search term broken jewellery, and I found lots of listings with basically bags of mixed jewellery, just all sorts. They're necklaces, they are bangles, they're rings, all sorts, but some have got more necklace type items in than others, and that was what I wanted. So I scrolled through the detailed pictures of one listing and I bought one without thinking too much more about it. I paid £11.75 in total, and that was basically a cost of £8 plus £3.75 shipping. So I was feeling pretty chuffed at this stage, a bit up, and so feeling rather positive, I then went on to Temu, and I had a really good browse on Temu in the, I think it was the beads and jewellery or craft area, and I ordered a few items, quite a few items, and I'm going to tell you in a few minutes what I got, how it compares with what I ordered, but maybe also what I've bought that I don't like as much and maybe won't use, because again I want to make sure you don't waste your own time and money. And as we approached the village where I live, I had a flash of inspiration. We have a local jewellers, so why not visit the local jewellers and see if they've got any broken jewellery too? So I went in and yeah, he thought I was nuts, to be frank. I asked if he had any broken jewellery and he said, what do you want it for? Adding to my junk journals, complete blank face, as you'd expect. Do you want all the same beads? Does it matter? No, don't need the same beads. It can be a complete mixture. Are you sure? Yes. Are you really sure you want a bag of broken jewellery? Yes. He went in the back and he brought out the most enormous carrier bag, not only full of jewellery, but it's all mixed up, all intertwined, and yeah, it's a bag of loveliness, but there's an awful lot of work to do to unravel it all. But maybe that's part of the fun, isn't it? Getting it from the state that it's in a complete mess, and making something beautiful with it. So I took the bag home and I delved in and had a bit of a nosy. I showed my husband, who was kind of shocked at what's coming in the house, and I started to sort it out, and I realised it was very difficult to separate. So over a series of nights, I separated it into a few different types, and I hope this is helpful for maybe you if you order broken jewellery maybe on eBay and get some too. So I put it into things that look like the beads would be more useful vertically, so where the holes go. I was very happy to find a lot of necklaces where the beads are threaded what I would call horizontally, and I've used these in my projects, and I'll show you more of those examples in a minute. I had a pile of just necklace chains, so either chains that came in the matted mess of jewellery I got, or they're the leftovers when I'd taken some beads off. And I also had a collection of I don't knows and weird things that I'll be lucky if I know how to use them, but I will jolly well have a try. What I did over the subsequent evenings was have a go at taking some of those items that had horizontal beads to bits, and I was quite slow, so I did co-opt my husband into doing that, and although I've got lots and lots left, I have been able to amass an absolutely gorgeous collection of beads that I can use in my projects straight away, and I think they're a lot nicer than the things I saw in the bricks and mortar shops or indeed online, but they go really well mixed with some of the items from Temu, so I will show you what I've made. But just before we do that, the item from eBay arrived, and that was quite a large supply as well. So that's gone into a basket. It's matted up, it's not perfect. It's going to take some work to pull it apart as well. But what I'm going to do is use some of the stuff that I've got ready to play with and then come back to that and work on deconstructing it at another time. So I have got rather a full craft room at the moment, but it just makes it feel lovely, doesn't it? So this is the bowl of beads that I've managed to harvest so far. There's a huge number in here, and there's a lot more to come from that matted mess of broken jewellery that I got from the jewellery shop. But what I did do was take a few of the pieces out and put them on some of the bulb pins. Now what I've done in the meantime is order a bag of rose gold coloured bulb pins, mostly because I was going through the bag of 100 that I originally bought so fast. It's really easy to put things on a bulb pin, and that's why I would recommend that you start there. I think they're more rewarding to play with than paper clips, and you can put really dangly things on them. It's not as awkward to feed items onto a bulb pin as it is compared with a paper clip. So you can see on all of these I've got lots of dangliness going on and been able to play. Oh, just look at them. I mean, gorgeous. I don't know, isn't that beautiful as an item to put on a dangle on any sort of piece of ephemera? They're just stunning. I also said that I ordered some items from Temu. So I ordered some charms. I didn't really know what I was ordering, I'll be honest. So here they are in silver. Don't know whether you can see. Should we try one-handed to get them out? I'm undecided on whether I like these, but I thought I'd have a play, and I got them in gold as well. I think the gold is even less appealing because it's very brassy. I quite like the colour of the silver. I bought a set of glass beads and I really like these. It's a tiny, I mean, look at the size of that. It looks really big in the advert when you buy it. These are in neutral shades of green and gold and rose gold, and that works really well for adding to some of the bulb pins along with some of those other colourful sequins. So I have done that in some of the pieces that I've made. And I also used some of those little bits of plastic sequin and mixed them with a necklace that I had deconstructed. You can see a lot of these gorgeous dark brown beads in here. This is what I mean by a horizontal bead. One way you'll feed it on, one way you'll feed it on sideways rather than vertically, like as you might do, say, to create a tassel for a journal. So I made a whole load of these and they're really fast. So if you want to feel good about making jewellery for journals when you begin, that is a great way, I think. Bulb pins, bits of sequin, tiny bits of deconstructed bead. Other things I bought from Temu. So I thought I would try, feeling ambitious at the time, to get some pins. So I've got some round-headed pins here and I've got some flat-headed pins. It was a bit of exploration. I wasn't sure how I was going to use them. And I'll be honest, when I did have a play, but you need to use pliers to bend the top of it back over into a loop to create a hook to attach to your ephemera. And at this stage, without much skill, it felt a little bit fiddly. So although I've got them, I'm going to park those for when my skill level's a bit higher. I bought some little beads like this that look like they're wood, but they're not. But I do like the design and I'm definitely going to use those. In fact, I've used them on the spine of a journal. I'll show you a couple of examples in a minute. And I found some wooden ones which I really, really like. So these are probably, along with those little glass beads, the ones that I would use most. I think the designs are really nice, the colours are really nice, and they would mix very well with paper. I also bought some little tools, so they had some very well-priced pieces of equipment, and I have used these when I pulled the bits of necklace apart. This is one with it's got like quite a crocodile mouth there and a serrated edge on the inside there. I don't know if you can see. I've used that one because it's a good gripper. This is all a set of 3 that came together. I've used this one, again quite pointy, so that's good for fiddly bits. The one I haven't used, that I thought I would use, is this one, which is for cutting, because I'm not really at the stage of cutting anything like copper wire or whatever, so that's useful for in reserve. I have also brought into use some from my old, well, a selection from my dad's toolkit from years ago, which they're a bit mucky, but they're quite strong, and those have been useful as well. So I just wanted to disclose that. I've made little edges, so I've put beads on the edge of a new design of junk journal, and I think that works really well. So it gives it texture, it's bound in, something to sort of feel quite tactile. One there, and I've done it with a couple of larger beads here. I will do a video showing how I make these journals, but I thought that would be a bit different. And here are the pieces for your journal that you can add your dangly jewellery to. Out of one book page masterboard like this, I've made a whole range of little booklets that have got just a stapled set of papers inside, or a larger one like this, and I've added the dangly jewellery at the top right with an eyelet, and the same here. Here's a piece that's just jutting out, that could just go on a journal page, so that you've got something sticking out here with the dangly bit here, so there's space beyond the page edge. I've made some just simple journal cards, square. I've got some rectangular ones, and I've also done a tiny one here, a tab for on the side of a page. That's really cute, with a lovely bit of orange and yellow dangly bit here on a bulb pin to complement the paper. And I've even added it to pieces of snippet like this. And to make these elements, it's really, really simple. I made an A3 size masterboard. I started with a piece of A3 size paper, but you can start with just book page. And the key to this is to keep the masterboard quite thin. So just 2 or 3 sheets or layers of paper glued together, and I've added a little bit of extra detail on top. So in each of the cases I try to put a strong, bold, clearly defined book page at the top right, and then use the rest of the space to add a real interest of collage papers. I've got book page, I've got images, I've got labels, I've got stamping on here. I've even added a little bit of a peel off. On this one I've got some books and I've splattered it with white paint. On this one I've stamped on it, but again you can see I've got a really useful book page at the top right, and I'll show you why that helps in a second. On this one I've even added, alongside a bold book page here, a piece of ribbon down here. And all I do is I take my guillotine or a pair of scissors and I cut it up. And where I've got a strong, bold image at the top right, I cut out a large piece, and that means I've either got a piece that can go on the front of a journal, so I would add it perhaps to a journal like this, put it on the front, and you could have a piece of jewellery just dangling to the side there. Or alternatively, you could take one of these and fold it, so maybe fold that in half, and it gives you the outside of a larger little booklet. And then all of the other little pieces alongside this one I've sewn around to give it a little bit more definition and quality. I think that really helps add to the sense that this is a proper piece of ephemera to put into a journal. And just added an eyelet on each occasion and turned it into a little bit of beautiful bling. And if you would like to see a new style of journal, like the ones I showed you earlier, these have a belt around them and book page and a little bit of our beaded jewellery on the side, then give me a thumbs up and subscribe and drop me a comment down below. Let's see if we can make some of these in our next video. I hope to see you soon.